Hey everyone, hope you're well. Max here with Impact today. Welcome, Jude.
Hello everyone, how are you doing?
So everybody feel free to let us know how you're doing in the chat and feel free to ask Impact any question. Today we will do behind the scene about your project Dystopian Reconnaissance. Can you let us know a bit more about this project?
So this is a project I started actually in 2017, but I just sort of left it for quite some time and didn't get back to it. So I started it again in 2021 with the main piece here that you see, which is this yellow mechanical drone, which has become like the star piece. And it was basically, I wanted to create a scene which was a shared universe and it was a mix of nature and sci-fi, and this is what I came up with. I created 3 scenes in total. One with this mechanical object, and a second one with this object, and then a final scene with both of them combined. And I went from there.
That's a really cool project. Um, I think you work on Cinema 4D, Octane Render, and Substance Painter, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I also used ZBrush for these wooden bits, but I didn't. I forgot about that. I didn't cover it. But yeah, Octane, Cinema 4D, and Substance are my main programs.
Okay, thank you very much for letting us know. So you did everything in this project, right? From the base design to the final touch.
Yeah, everything from start to finish. I feel like that's important for personal projects to completely get across your vision. You need to create the stuff by yourself, is how I feel. Because there's a lot of people who will just use assets, which I think is fine as like assisting. So like bits um like wood here, that's fine to use as an asset, but like for the main piece, I feel like it should be something you've created by yourself from scratch.
Yeah, it's really great. So you also modeled your object in Cinema 4D?
Yeah, modeled in Cinema 4D. It wasn't fun, but that's what ended up happening. I'll show you.
But you did it.
Yeah. Yeah. A part of me wanted to do it in Fusion 360, but it was just going to be a new program I had to learn, so I decided to keep it in Cinema 4D.
That's really great. So how many time did you took on all of the tasks for this project? Maybe we can go through your BNs and you let us know what was the process, how many time it took, what was the struggle, and all the sexy things we don't know while we watch the final images.
So I worked on this on and off, like I said. It started in 2017, but I would say in total it took about maybe 3 to 4 months to do everything. The most difficult thing I would say was probably the texturing, because this was my first project where I fully used Substance Painter for the texturing. So it was my first time in a new program. I was just learning everything on the go, so that for me was probably the most difficult part of this project. But Substance Painter is an incredibly powerful tool. I recommend everyone to start using it if they aren't already. Because all of this, like on the sides, this is all displacement. None of this is actually modeled in. So it's really great if you want to cheat the scene.
Yeah, that's really great for the people who are not aware of Substance Painter. You can directly paint details to normal or bump, and it allows to create a lot of extra details without having to model.
Yeah. This one, however, I modeled mostly because I started it first before Substance Painter. So like if I was to redo it, these holes, I would have done them in Substance Painter instead of modeling it in. So you can see here they're actually modeled in. It's not Substance,
Yeah.
but it was very time consuming, so it's something I would probably redo if I was doing this project again.
So you have Scap rendering here, letting us know that he really likes the concept and he reminds a bit of Simon Stalen Ag art. he asked if this project is a little bit inspired by Simon's work.
Yeah, I got that a lot when I released it the first time. Um, it wasn't actually inspired by him. The sketches I started off of were by a good friend of mine called Chris. So in the project, you can see these sketches here. That's what inspired me to start on this piece. And obviously, Simon's an amazing artist. I followed him for a while. He's got some really nice work. But I would say someone who more inspired me was probably Philip Hodas, if you've heard of him. He does sort of the similar nature scenes with different like dystopian objects, and for me that was probably where I got more inspiration from instead of Simon.
Okay, yeah, and if I'm correct, Simon is making more night and dark pieces.
Yeah, well, he does quite a few things, so
Yeah. So yeah, um, really cool to see all the process. What tool did you use to create the trees and the nature? Is it SpeedTree, Megascan, Forester? What did you use?
so for the trees I use Speed Tree. I've made these trees a while ago and I just sort of reuse them a lot for these projects. And for the nature, like the foliage, it's a mixture of mega scans and some other downloaded assets. So I can go through that now as well. So the nature in the first scene is a bit different from what I normally do because there's less grass and it's more so just ferns and like dead grass. So normally people just have like lots of grass with different lengths, but for this one it was just ferns. So I went with like plants instead for a different look. And I think that's what makes it feel a bit different.
Great. And what's the story behind those pieces? Because I can see the machine is sort of connected to the trees.
The trees.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the machine actually gets us energy from the trees, which I want to let people just make their own story about it because once I posted on Reddit, like people just went off and just created their own ideas of what it all meant, and I kind of like leaving it open to interpretation. So I'm not going to reveal what
Mm.
everything means, but yeah, the trees do power this thing. That's one thing that I have made obvious.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and I think the letting people having their own vision about art pieces is always great because imagination can lead to stories you never expect.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with this one, some people thought it was like a friendly robot. Some people thought it looked menacing. People just go in their own direction when they see an image. So I think that's something that's great to see.
So yeah, I'm curious to see more of the making of in Cinema 4D of this piece. So I see you have a lot of scattered objects.
A lot of yeah, yeah, a lot of scatter. I'll go through it one by one just to show you.
And did you hit some pain point while doing this in cinema? I mean, before the struggle of creating realistic textures and everything, did you had some bugs or some issues, technical issues that made the piece harder to come?
For this one, I actually didn't. It managed to just render first time, but for the second piece in the series, there were more issues. It ended up being a problem with VRAM and the denoiser in Octane.
Mm.
So basically, the denoiser once your scene gets very heavy, if you have the denoiser on, it'll basically crash your render like 90% of the time. So I ended up just not using the denoiser in the end.
Okay. And what's the GPU you're using to render this scene?
I've got two 1080 Ti's right now.
Okay.
I'll just show a little breakdown of how I've done the foliage for this once it starts rendering. Okay.
Yeah, the most interesting time while we wait.
Oh, I've got this PSC here. I can show you actually. It'll be easier.
Okay.
So the first layer I started off with, this is something I've been doing a lot more recently, is adding dead grass on the bottom. It just gives it another look that people don't normally see,
Mhm.
but it's just there. And then we had the secondary ferns. These are just smaller ones to start building out the scene. And then for some height, we had more ferns, but these ones have like white plants at the end of them. That gives it some height. And then we've got the big ferns, which gives it a different look. It starts to really build out the scene.
Yeah, I think the dead grass idea is a really good one. It really helps to make the thing more realistic.
Yeah. And it also helps with like the surface, because once you have really large surfaces, you can kind of tell that it's repeating.
Mhm.
So the dead grass just helps to cover that, and it blends in with the color. So it's really helpful. And okay, so this was actually very heavy in the scene because these planks, I couldn't use instances to have them wrap around the platform. I'll show you what I mean in a minute, but this was actually what made it take the longest to render, which is surprising.
Oh, yeah, that's
I'll,
surprising.
I'll yeah, I'll show you what I mean afterwards, but yeah, keep it in mind. And then we've got little rocks and sticks on top. Something I actually want to show you as well. Just in Photoshop. Let me open it here. So this is something I do to basically all of my pieces in Photoshop, where if I don't like something, I just go in and really do quick edits.
Mhm.
And this here, the spot healing brush in Photoshop, is such a powerful tool. So you see how I didn't like that rock just there? You can just paint over it and it does the rest. It'll just get rid of it.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, I use it for a lot. So if you've ever got like noise in your Octane render, you can just use this, get rid of all the white spots, and it's super powerful. It's
Um,
time consuming, so it depends on if you want to actually do it, but it's there for you.
yeah. Scap rendering is asking if you render your wall piece or do you render individual objects separately?
I render everything as one, and then I use object ID mask to just change anything I need to change. So I'll bring up here.
Yeah. Yeah, all the things you're showing in the other PSD is just for the making of purpose, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was just to show the process breakdown. I don't,
Mhm.
I don't render everything one by one and then put it on. See, I just use this material ID pass,
Mhm.
and it just allows me to edit wherever I want to pretty quickly. If I want to change the saturation of it or something.
Yeah. A really handy pass.
Sure. Okay, carry on with the process. So then we added the trees. I think these are trees you don't normally see. You normally see the forest of trees. So I feel like these give it a different look as well. I don't know. I think they're called pine trees. And an actual object. And the wires. I'll go through how the wires are done as well afterwards. Sky. Cool. One question I might get asked is about the fog. And normally I would do the fog in Octane, but for this scene, I decided not to. I can't remember why, but I just didn't, and I did it in Photoshop instead.
Okay. Yeah, if you don't have like volumetric lights or a big interaction with fog, it's often easier to do it in post if it's just like a depth fog or a distance fog.
Yeah. Yeah, I find it's not worth it at times to do an octane because of the longer render time. So I'll actually go through how the wire is done.
Yeah, you have a question by again Scap Rendering asking how do you manage to blend the distance fog with the sky?
What does he mean?
I don't know. I guess yeah, blending the fog with the sky. You use some. Yeah, what's the technique you use? If it's Z pass, Z depth.
Oh, it's a Z depth. I can show you here. Yeah. So
Yeah.
okay, I think I get what it means. So normally I have my I've actually deleted it. Okay, yeah. So normally I have it with an alpha, so it's just plain, and then I have a white layer underneath, and then I just brush out the top of the sky. So it's white, but then it's brushed out. I merge it together, and then you get this. And then you use a levels adjustment in Photoshop. You set it to screen. You set the fog to screen, the Z depth, and you just play with this, and you can control it however you like. That's normally how I do it.
Yeah, it's a really cool way to create some fog.
And if you want to add a bit of color to it, you can have just a solid color layer, set it to soft light, define how color you want it to be, and have it overlaid on top, and then that's it. You're done. You got some fog.
Okay, thanks for answering the question, and thanks to the people in the chat being active and asking question. If you have more questions, feel free to do it. We are live, so we can go through your questions.
Yeah, ask as many as you want. Find answer them.
Yeah, another question about the sky is do you render without sky and add the sky in post, or do you use like an HDRI sky? Because Scap Rendering is saying that a common problem is mix smoothly the scene with the HDRI.
Oh, I use just the HDRI in Cinema 4D, so I don't ever like composite a different sky.
Okay, so you have like HDRI with sky and high resolution, and yeah, directly.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So this is the sky straight out of Cinema 4D. Okay. So I'm going to show you quickly just how I do my wires. There's a few different ways you can do it.
Yeah, to answer Hamed question, Hamed asking if the trees are made in speed tree. Impact already answered that question, and yes, he made the trees in speed tree. If you guys missed the beginning of the live, it will be available in replay. So at any moment, you can just watch the replay. And we have another question from Upside Playlist asking, "How are you guys?"
We're both good. I recently got vaccinated though, so my left arm is a bit sore, but we're surviving.
Yeah, I'm good too. Thanks, Upside Playlists. And you, how are you?
So there's a few ways to do wires. I found that to make it look interesting, obviously you've got the sweep nerve, you've got the circle inside, and then you've got the spline.
Mhm.
but you can also duplicate the like starter circle, and then connect all of it together to make one spline,
Yeah.
and then use this as a circle in the sweep node, and then you get that triple wire effect. And I feel like that looks a lot better than just a standard
Yeah, and you
wire.
can even twist it.
Yeah, you can twist it. You can do all of that.
It's a really great technique. I remember seeing that, I don't know, a few years ago in the past in a tutorial, and I was really crazy because I didn't thought about that first. We always think about making like a simple spline profile, even if it's one complex shape. And yeah, the fact you can use several splines really helps to make more complex shapes.
Yeah, you can even just slap in Cinema 4D flower in there, and you get this cool little look. And there's a plugin called Reaper X, or it used to be called Reaper X. It's called Reaper 2.0 now, which I'm not sure if you guys use it for your wires as well, but it gives you this effect. It's very interactive. You can.
Yeah, I think it's a free plugin.
I think it should be. Yeah, I got it ages ago, so I can't remember if it is or not, but it should be.
Yeah, I remember I had it by the past, but for some reason I don't have it. But yeah, it's really cool plugin.
And a little detail I like to add to all of my wires are these little cover bits.
You also have a question from Upside Playlist asking if you know Topo Wire.
Oh yeah, I've got top of wire as well.
Okay.
But I feel you only need to use that in certain scenarios. So I don't need it for this scene.
Yeah, so you use both the sweep tool, Reaper, or Topo Wire depending the situation.
Just alternate. You can use one circle now. So with these little cover things, they just add a little bit of detail to the wire as well, which looks really cool when it's zoomed out. So it's just a simple cloner with just a tube, and there's a displacer inside there as well, just to give it a bit more variation and gets that bumpy look.
Yeah.
So you can add the height.
That's
Add
really
more.
cool. Like all those little details together helps to really make complex complex things.
Yeah. I feel like that's what separates just a normal image from an image that looks a lot nicer.
If some people in the chat doesn't know, Cornelius Damrich has made some really long making of on his YouTube channel, and it's full of resources. You can watch how he added details and such things. I learned a lot by watching his making of videos. I guess you saw it too, Impact.
I think I've watched one of his videos. I think the original 50-second 52 hertz video.
Yeah,
There's lots of them from that. On the topic of details, another thing is color variation as well. So I'll just quickly set up a scene and show you how I do that.
and while you are setting up your scene, we have another question: is how did you cover the trees with the moss? Did you just use the scatter?
Oh, in the second piece, yeah.
Okay.
I can open it now. So he's talking about this one.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, yeah. So I use Quixel Moss for this. I think I use 2 variations of Moss. And Octane Scatter. It's a pretty simple setup.
And what about the ducks? Is it like 3D ducks or photoshopped?
Yeah, they're 3D ducks. Just added them there. Just, yeah. We've got ducks and we've got chickens.
Oh, nice. I didn't saw them first while watching the piece. That's always great to be able to discover like a secondary or third level of details after watching several time piece.
That's what makes a piece more exciting.
Yeah, true. So yeah, you were
More
showing us the color.
color, yeah, color variation. I got distracted with the trees and the moss, but you can just see it here, how it's done quickly. I'm not going to try and render it because it'll take too long. That's the one annoying thing about Octane. It loads up all the materials every time you open a new scene.
Yeah.
It takes ages.
You always have to wait a little bit before it starts to
Yeah,
work.
especially with substance materials because
Yeah,
they're
they're
very heavy.
pretty heavy. Upside Playlist is asking if we have a Discord where artists chill and work together. We do actually have a Discord, but we don't work together. But that could be an idea sometimes if some artists are up to, just work and share screen. Of course, with non-NDA projects. Yeah, feel free to join the Motion Designers Community Discord and chill there.
Yeah, we should start doing more group calls in there. That'll be cool.
Yeah, great.
We can
That will
just all
be,
watch Octane load out together.
yeah. Let me try to find a link so I can drop it in the directly in the YouTube chat for the people who wants to join. Yep, and we also have a Facebook group for the people who wants to share stuff in Facebook.
Is it done finally? There we go. Got it in the end. And now the tree has disappeared.
Maybe if you want to show us your tips in a more simple scene, that would be
Yeah,
fine too.
I'm going to do that afterwards. It's here now though. Got it in the end. So it's just the actual tree is very dense. So I made a duplicate of it and then used a polygon reduction. And then I used that new tree to scatter the moss over. So over new tree, I deleted all of the leaves and like the other twigs that we don't need. And then you just got the moss on this base layer here. So it's 3 different variations. There's dead moss, there's regular moss, and then there's larger moss.
Okay.
It's just all scattered.
And do you also create variation in shaders using like OSL textures or some random colors?
Yeah, that's what I was going to show you here now. I don't use any OSL for this. Not in this scene anyway, but normally I'll just use it if I want to have a variation in the rotation. but we don't need it for this. So I'll quickly set it up now and show you how I'll do it. Become smaller.
And have you tried like the latest Octane version over the 4?
I haven't yet, no. Probably going to upgrade soon though. There just haven't been too many features that I've been too interested in.
Yeah.
That's why I haven't done it.
Yeah, I'm just wondering because I think maybe I'm wrong, but they improved a little bit the geo and material sending time when you hit the render button. So maybe for your really EV scenes that could help a little bit. But yeah, I'm agree with you. For most of the main features, you will not feel like a big difference between the 4 and the latest ones.
So I'll just quickly show you a quick setup here of how we would do color variation of scatter. Actually going to render and scene. So we've got a gradient with 2 colors inside and then a random color node. And you just plug this into the texture bit. You can change the seed and that will change how it's colored. And if you drag the sliders closer together, it'll give you a harsher contrast. So you'll just get green and then yellow. But if you pull it out, you'll start to get different shades in between. And you can imagine if you've got lots of trees, this will really help to sell the scene and make them all look very different. And then something else I'd like to show you, which I've always had a problem with, is if you've ever had like a scattered scene and everything looks perfect to you and you just want to remove, say, just this one here, you can do that by grabbing a plane effector, plugging it into the effectors in Octane, setting the scale to -1, and that will essentially get rid of everything. But then set the fall off to whatever shape you want. We'll use a box for this one. And you can see in the scene, as we drag this, it will remove the little scattered, the dots to show the scatter. So say we want to get rid of just that one, we'll make it smaller. Put it over it. Now when you render it in Octane, that one's gone now.
Yeah, that's a really great tip to remove something that is unwanted. I think you can also use IDs and MoGraph selection, but this is way more complicated than this technique that is really simple to use and interactive.
Yeah. And it's not only getting rid of it, you can also just use it to change the position of, say, just that one. So change the X and that one will just move on its X axis. So it gives you control over the scatter, which is something you've always wanted. And of course, you can have multiple plane effectors as well and just stack them up in different areas.
Yeah.
You just have to make sure it's plugged in.
And for the people who wants to create even more variation, if I'm correct, Raphael Ro, Silver Wing, released some textures on his website, some OSL texture where you can add more variation on your project. Let's check if I'm finding it. I think that's on his website.
Whilst you're looking for that, another quick tip is, especially with something like trees, you never want them to be intersecting because then it gives away the fact that it's a render. So in the scatter menu, you have this box that says keep away, and you just set this to a distance, say 100. And now this means that if a tree is less than 100 like centimeters next to each other, then it'll just disappear. So there'll be a spacing of 100 centimeters from every tree. And now it looks more natural instead of intersecting like this.
Scab Rendering is asking, what do you think about Victron and Fractals? And have you ever thought about using your fractals in your scenes?
I haven't played with fractals yet. To me, it just seems like a cool thing you use once or twice and just move on from. But I might update to the new octane render and start playing around with it.
Yeah.
So I feel like the real powerful thing about that is the new displacement effects you can get. So it's something I might try.
Yeah. And we have another question by Dean. He's asking about your lighting. I think you only use mainly HDRI and octane light and octane sun, right?
Yeah, it's very simple lighting in this scene.
So yeah,
Yeah,
for a beginner watching your scene and maybe wants to get the extra step of realism, what's your main advices?
my main advice.
We saw that you added a lot of little details, variation in the shading and post-production.
Yeah, for me, the main advice is just details. You just need to think about what you'll see in real life and try and tell a story. So in real life, you'd never come across like a plank floorway which is completely clean. There's going to be rocks and little sticks all around. So that's why I've got the rocks and sticks in this scene. And also, you can barely see it, but there's actually dirt on the edges, which have collected up because that's what you would see in real life. So just always try and think about what the story is in your image and what you'd see in real life and just go from there. And you can't really go wrong.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for showing all those really cool things and those short tips. Do you have more things to show us?
I was just going to show you the lighting because someone asked, and then that should be it. If
Great.
Octane decides to render out, we wait again.
Yeah, maybe the time that it's launching, we can talk a little bit about crypto art and art because this piece is an NFT, right?
Yeah. So this piece, obviously, is part of the 3-part series. So to collect the final part, the final piece, which is both of them combined, you need to own both this one and the first one. So I want to do something cool with that for the collectors. And once they own the first 2 pieces, this can be owned for free, basically.
Okay, that's great. And yeah, what's your opinion for a newcomer that is not familiar with crypto art? We hear a lot of things about NFT, good and bad. So, what will be your opinion for someone new to it and curious about it?
I would say the good far outweighs the bad. I'd say you should take your time and really do some research on what the scene is about. And my biggest advice is to just network with a lot of people, just to speak to everyone and connect with people in the scene, because that's the best way to get out there, honestly.
Pavel is asking, what program will you recommend to start 3D modeling?
Not Cinema 4D. To be honest, it depends on what type of modeling you want to do. If you actually care about the technical aspects, then Cinema 4D or Blender, that'll be fine. But if you just want to make a very quick image or a very quick model, then I would recommend Fusion 360. because the modeling time is a lot quicker there. You can just grab an object, start putting holes inside of it. You don't have to worry about the mesh or anything like that, and you'll get an object straight away. So if you want to be more artistic, I would recommend Fusion 360, but if you care about the technical aspects, I would recommend Cinema 4D or Blender.
Yeah, I was mentioning that Mario from Elemenza made really nice courses for the people who wants to learn modeling, both in Cinema 4D and Maya. So yeah, always depend about what you want to achieve, the complexity of your model. I followed both Cinema 4D and Maya courses, and Maya is more powerful with a lot of tools that are missing in Cinema 4D, but for simple shapes and as a generalist, you can still do a lot in Cinema 4D.
Yeah, for sure. And there's also a lot of plugins out there now for Cinema 4D.
Yeah,
That sort of compensates for it.
yeah, of course, like HB modeling bundle and a lot
Yeah.
of
That's one I would definitely recommend.
yeah, for modeling definitely.
So yeah.
Yeah, we have
any more questions? Are there any more?
yeah, one last question from Ray. Is Impact. I'm a big fan. Who's your favorite artist at the moment?
Favorite artist at the moment. If I say that, a lot of people are going to get upset. So, does it have to be a 3D artist or no?
It's not mentioned, like it's just artist. I mean,
favorite right now is a guy called Jesperish, a good friend of mine. He's actually an illustrator. If you want to pull up his work, I can actually. So I'm a big fan of illustrations, and he does a lot of abstract stuff, but he can also like build worlds and do portraits. If you want to check him out.
oh,
Very
that's
cool.
really great. Is it like real illustration? Is it digital illustration?
Digital.
Okay.
Digital illustration, yeah. That's his site there, jesperish.com if you want to check it out. He's got a very unique style.
Yeah, for sure.
And he also actually made the poster for Spider-Man, if that's something any of you care about.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So yeah, for sure, check him out if you'd like to see some of his stuff.
Paveli says, if he says Jesper, we can't be friends anymore.
Sorry. Yeah. That's the last question, and
Yeah.
we're good to go.
Thank you everyone for being there for this live. Thank you again, Impact, for sharing all your behind the scene and all these really great quick tips. I will remind people that you will find all the links in the description, including the Behance project that you should definitely take a look and leave a thumbs up if you liked it.
Sure, for sure.
And yeah, see you soon on YouTube, Facebook groups, or even on the Discord channel.
See you soon.
Bye everyone.
All right. Bye.